Hello everybody. As you might have heard by now, Anet is deploying some pretty significant changes this week to World vs. World. By the time you watch this, the changes are probably already live. Some of the changes will go live with the patch on Tuesday, but others, like scoring changes, will go live with the Friday match reset. They had a short stream last week where they introduced the upcoming changes to both World v World and PvP. I will only focus on the World v World changes, as I haven't played PvP since Heart of Thorns launched. Interestingly, we have a lot of ground to cover here, so let's get into it. Us World v World players are not used to getting huge patches like this. So first of all, but most importantly, scoring updates. Victory point acquisition will differ based on what the time of day is. Anet must have crunched some numbers and got a player activity number average for each skirmish. Just for the layman among you, skirmishes are 2-hour time frames when skirmish points accumulate for each server, and the one with the highest amount of skirmish points gets the most amount of victory points. After the 2 hours have passed, another new skirmish starts. The way the old system works is simple. You get the same amount of victory points for every skirmish, no matter if the borders are busy or almost empty. Interestingly, it seems like that the new system will be different between the regions of NA and EU as well. I am an EU player myself. You might have noticed this from my accent already. So I will use that as a point of reference. As you can see from this table, it is pretty easy to understand how the new scoring system will work. EU activity largely follows a logical pattern. When borders are almost empty from 2 AM to 8 AM, because this is the time when people are asleep, the least amount of points will be awarded. This ramps up gradually until it reaches the apex point at 10 PM. EU prime time is usually considered to be the skirmish from 8 PM to 10 PM. After this, the points awarded for each skirmish will start declining again. This has been a highly requested change and one that seems like a net positive for the community. No longer will be victory or defeat determined by night owls or people who are not even playing from EU time zones and kept things undefended during the night. In this new system, a victory at prime time will net 6 to 8 times as much victory points than a victory during off hours. As I said, I play on EU, so I can't comment on the NA scoring table, but as you can see, player activity there is more widely spread during the day and the scoring will represent this. The next scoring change is also something that has been highly requested. So get this, Warscore awarded from capturing upgraded towers, keeps and Stonemist Castle have been significantly buffed. This means that upgraded objectives will be much more valuable prizes and hopefully will lead to more fierce battles and will demand better tactics from both the defenders and attackers. Camps and unupgraded objectives are not affected by this change. The Warscore awarded by defeating enemy players will increase from 2 to 3. This is a smaller change. I'm not sure why they felt it was needed, but whatever. Alright, so what other changes can be expected here? Well, first of all, let's talk about objective contesting. A contested objective in Guild Wars 2 World v World means that white swords appear on the objective on the map. It signifies that the objective is under some kind of an attack. Additionally, the waypoint of the objective, if there's one, will be unusable for the duration of the contest event, which is on a 3-minute timer. If the threat is gone after this time, the objective will not be contested anymore, but if the objective is still under attack after the 3 minutes is up, then the timer simply resets and the objective will continue to be contested. Currently, there is a bit of a delay between the point of the actual threat event, i.e. attacking, and when these swords appear on the objective. This is around 15 to 20 seconds. Now let's take a look at what constitutes as contesting in the old system. Basically, any kind of threat to the objective will put it in the contested state. Even if no guards get damaged and they only aggro onto something, so basically if an enemy player simply just runs into aggro range of the guards, the whole objective will become contested. Any kind of siege damage to the gates and walls will also mark the objectives as contested. Now, with the new system, attacking simple objective guards will no longer constitute as contesting. The only NPC that will trigger this contested status will be the objective lord or the supervisor, if we're talking about camps. Or of course, if the walls or gates of the objective gets damaged to 98% or below. A small change, or fix if you will also be implemented by reducing the time between the action of the threat event, i.e. attacking, and between cross swords appearing on the map to almost instant. So the defenders should have ample time to react. So our next change is about the emergency waypoints. The emergency waypoint tactic will spawn 3 waypoints instead of the current 1, in order to give the defenders more options to deploy without getting farmed by the enemy team camping the waypoint. This should be a great change. The timer doesn't change on the waypoint, so the amount of time the defenders have to use it will stay the same. And finally, some siege updates. Alacrity, which is just basically faster skill recharge, will not affect any siege anymore and will be removed from players when they are sitting in sieges. Siege golems will be unaffected by any boons except for swiftness. Super speed and stealth will still work on these, as those are not considered to be boons. And ArenaNet is also walking back on some of the flame ram health buffs they introduced in the not too distant past. Currently, flame ram health pool is a bit overtuned. They are introducing a flat 50% HP reduction to the rams, but with a caveat. The men rams will have Ironhide applied to them, which will result in the rams getting a 50% incoming damage reduction. So basically, unmanned flame rams will be destroyed sooner, but operated flame rams should still have the same durability. We also have some siege supply cost updates here. Guild Siege Golem supply costs have been increased from 50 to 75. In its current form, it's a bit too strong for the amount of supply it costs. Regular arrow card supply costs have been reduced from 40 to 25, which means that a single person will be able to build a single AC if they have full supplies, which is exactly 25 if they get it from the depot of an upgraded keep. Superior arrow card supply costs reduced from 50 to 35. Seems like ArenaNet wants to see a bit more AC usage, which is interesting. In the olden days, arrow cards were a strong means of defense, but due to the power creep and strong meta blobs, these hardly make a dent in enemies' health nowadays. We will see how this one plays out. And finally, Trebuchet and Superior Trebuchet supply costs reduced by 50%, from 100 to 50 and 120 to 60 respectively. This is a huge buff to traps, and I wouldn't be surprised if we would see much more traps being built because of this. As with all of these changes, time will tell how the community will uses or abuses them, and if further changes will be necessary or not. And finally, we are also getting some new weapon skins, which is, always welcome. will not go into the acquisition method of these right now, as this video is long enough. And our final change for word versus word is that herb synthesizer loot pools will be updated with varietal seeds. Now you might be wondering, why are all these changes so important? Why should I care? Well, it clearly shows that ArenaNet is finally going into the right direction with word v word after years and years of neglect. These changes seem to be laying the groundwork for some heavy buff to personal rewards for victories in word v word, which is really needed. Currently the only thing that you gain by doing well is bragging rights and server pride. With these and possible future changes, hopefully ArenaNet is going to make word v word more competitive and more rewarding to play. Time will tell. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.